it's Jessica here, and today's video is for our YouTube hop, and the theme this month is travel. So I am making some luggage tags. The base for these tags are Sizzix texture roll because they are super sturdy. It's kind of a mix of paper and plastic. Like, you can treat it like it's paper, but it's super durable like plastic. I found a tag die that I liked the shape of, and I'm using that as my template, and I'm making it side by side so then I can fold it in half. I created a PDF that is on our blog, so if you'd like these printable tags that you can then create a shell for, head to our blog, and that's where you'll find them. You can find them, they're free printables, so go check them out. That's what I'm using for this post. I will end up making 3 of these, and I am repeating these steps for all 3 of them. I scored it down the center here, and first I got all of my pieces cut to size so they're all equal, and then I'm going through with scissors and clipping off the corners to make it into a tag. And because this video is for our YouTube hop, if you leave a comment on this video as well as the other videos in the hop, you will be entered to win a $25 A Cherry on Top gift card. So make sure to go check them out. It's a lot of travel themes, and it's going to be such a great hop. I've already seen some of the projects and they're amazing. Right now I'm measuring out the slot that I will slide the little tags into, and I am using my paper trimmer and just being careful to only cut where it needs to be cut, but I like cutting it on this because then I know everything is nice and square. I didn't cut through a lot of the corners, but I have a straight enough line where then I'll be able to take my knife and cut the corners out. This material is thicker than regular paper, so you might have to go over it a couple times, but like I said, it's so durable. You can scrunch it up, you can get it wet, you can really, it can take a lot and still look nice. So now you can kind of see the idea. I'll end up gluing it together, but first I wanted to add some acetate, so it would be a clear cover over this printed part. I'm using my card to determine the size that I'm cutting the acetate, and then I'm using cherry tape to adhere it to my piece. I'm using cherry tape instead of wet glue because the wet glue tends to not stick well on the acetate and it can end up looking messy in the end. So I am using cherry tape for this whole project because it just makes it quicker and I know that everything will be stuck together. I made sure to leave some extra room around the acetate so that I could still slide my card into it easily. If you happen to over glue it, then just trim down your card a little bit and it'll still be able to fit in there. Now I did a hole punch and then I'm moving on to the next one. The cool thing with this texture paste is you can, like I said, treat it like it's paper. So first I am using an embossing folder on it and it embosses beautifully. I first misted it with a little bit of water just to help it take form a little bit easier, and then you can see how much the design came through on it. And then I decided to paint it with some acrylic paint in this pretty purple color. And then for all of the raised parts, I'm using some white pearl wax that I put on my finger, and I'm just lightly brushing over all of the raised areas. For this part, less is more, and you can always go back and add more, but it's hard to take away once you've added it. So I like to put a dab on my finger and then wipe it off on a piece of paper next to me, and then go over it and slowly build up the color. This leaves it with a really nice finish. I think it could look like leather or a little bit metallic, and it's definitely one of my go-to products for anything that's textured. My next one I'm going to treat as a canvas and going to completely paint it. I started by adding some gesso so all of my paints would stick nicely, and then picked a few colors that I wanted to play with. This first round I'm showing I didn't end up liking these colors. I picked too many, so I'm going to try it again and take off the yellow. To take off the paint, I got my brush a little bit wet and then got a paper towel and wiped it off and then re-gessoed it. I'm also starting this round with a white paint layer that I didn't let completely dry, so that once I'm adding all of my colored paints on top of it, it is a little bit lighter, so I can slowly add the color so I can make it darker or I can keep it lighter. And for this tag, I didn't add any embossing or any paint, and instead I'm going around the edges and going to add some stitching detail. This is all from a bookbinder kit, and I'm using it to poke all of the holes, and then I went around and added stitching. Now it's time to add on the pieces that will attach it to the bag. This first one, I am just using a pretty piece of ribbon that matched my tag and just going to knot it. And for some of my other pieces, I'm using some big bookbinder rings and sliding it through the holes, and then these tags from the new Paige Evans travel line I thought would work just perfectly with these tags and add a fun element, so I'm adding these on as well. I just took off the little clasp and put them on the ring. So here's all the different tags I made, and make sure to head to the blog for the downloadable PDFs for this project.